Hello and welcome to the CX Files for 16th July 2026. My name's Mark Hillary and I'm in São Paulo, Brazil.
And I'm Peter Ryan in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Mark, great to see you. And it's interesting, I can see you, but I can't even see across the street from my house because of the forest fire smoke here today.
Oh, wow. Wow, that sounds bad. What's going on there?
Well, the forest fires are up and running in northern Quebec right now, and unfortunately, due to wind directions, they like to make their way down into the south of the province and into the United States as well. So we've probably got about another week or so of this. It doesn't make going outside and doing any exercise particularly appealing. In fact, we're being asked to stay inside as much as we can with air conditioning, etc. So, it's just I think the reality of summer in terms of how things are evolving. But nonetheless, good to be back and good to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the CX space as always.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, this week we've got a couple of people who are local to me, actually. I recently went and had a nice lunch in Sao Paulo with Jessica Pleffken and Anna Marvulle. And Jessica and Anna run a company together called P&M Marketing, and they're basically specialized on marketing and sales advice to BPOs. So they're working specifically with the BPO community. I know they're working with some clients in the US and people like Don Berryman that was on the pod recently. So they're working. In fact, I think it was Don that introduced me to them. But um, so I talked to Jessica and Anna about their message to the BPO community, and we said, look, let's record some of this for a conversation on the pod. But their central message is really about bringing marketing and sales much closer together,
Hmm.
because of the way that the pipeline generation has changed in recent years, and especially the fact that so many clients of BPOs are now using AI to put shortlists together, to find recommendations.
Yeah.
People are just asking Claude, tell me who's the best BPO in this sector. So that creates a need for the BPOs to educate the AI around this. So the whole kind of marketing that we were doing even 5 years ago is completely different to what is needed for BPOs
Yeah.
today.
It's out the window. I agree. And I think this is a really, really interesting topic. And I'm glad that we've got these ladies who've come on the pod to give some insight in terms of how the marketing, whether it's incorporating marketing and sales closer together, or the whole issue of how companies need to be presented going forward. This makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a conversation that's long overdue in our space. I mean, Mark, you and I have talked about many times, whether it's on the podcast or just with each other in private, about the extent to which this industry has become excessively generic. There's no differentiation anymore. And we need to think differently. And unfortunately, when it comes to the CX services space, whether it's the actual BPO or technology, I find there's very much a follow the leader approach. Everybody wants to wait to see who's going to break out from the pack and then copy what that company does. Well, nobody can afford to be complacent anymore. Margins are tight, competition's stiff, and finding new ways of incorporating sales and marketing as a package or as complementary functions is very important. And you said something else just as you were just diving into the intro there that really raised the light bulb on my head. You said lunch in Sao Paulo. The last time I had lunch in Sao Paulo was with you, going back about 10 years ago. And I don't think I've ever been to as nice a restaurant with a buffet in my life. I don't know if you remember it or not, but that just triggered something.
Oh, that's fine. Well, we'll have to do it again. We need one of the companies that's got a lot of people in Sao Paulo to invite you to come down here.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's head on over to the chat that you had and find out a little bit more about this because I think there's going to be a lot of illumination on this topic that's going to make stakeholders, I think, really sit up and take notice.
Hi, Jessica and Anna. It's great to get you on the CX files. I think that just to start off, it might be great if you both introduce yourselves and the company and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. I'm Jessica Pleffken. I've been working with BPO industry for around 6 years for now, but I work with marketing for almost 15 years. And it has been a great experience. And past year, actually, I decided to embrace the entrepreneurship journey. And today I work with Anna, and it's a privilege actually to work with her in this new space of marketing for CX and BPO. So during my career, of course, I work only with marketing for B2B companies, like very complex. I've never worked with B2C. And I decided to open the advisory, like a marketing agency and advisory firm. And I asked Anna, which is a stunning person and a great professional, to join me. And she also embraced it and said, okay, let's go for it. And now we are so happy to see how fast the agency is growing, because we saw a gap actually in the industry about like marketing experts that really understands deeply in like the in-house operations, so we deeply understand how is the process inside the companies, in terms of sales, operations, leadership, and how the marketing needs to be done from there. So I'm super happy to have this new step in my career.
That's great. And Anna?
Yes, so I'm Anna Marvulle. I have also around 6 to 7 years experience in BPO and around 10 years of experience in marketing. I have worked with Jessica in the past, like she said, and during our time together, we were discussing, like we noticed how complex the BPO marketing can be. And we noticed that there was also a lack of professionals, like marketing professionals completely focused on this. It's so hard, like whenever we were working together before, we noticed that it was so hard to find marketing agencies that had the knowledge about BPO and CX companies. It's such a hard business to explain. And then once you get those marketing agencies together, then you have the marketing team explaining to them what exactly like they do. And it was never like a match 100%, because I do believe that you have to breathe and you have to leave BPO to actually understand how complex this business is. So once Jessica came with this challenge, and I thought that it was so smart of her to have this insight, we have to be focused on this. I was 100% on board. So yeah, we've been working together for a few years now. This last year, we have been working like just the two of us. So it's been an amazing journey. And yes, we're super excited to be here, Mark. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'm talking to you really because I read something that Jessica published on LinkedIn, which was an article titled "No One Outsources to a Company They've Never Heard of," which I thought was interesting because it touches on marketing, branding, and trust. How if you're going to hire a company to work on your CX, then you really need to have a high level of trust there. And it's quite a provocative claim around not outsourcing to a company you've never heard of. So maybe Jessica, you can pick up on that. It seems that a lot of the BPO companies think they have a problem with their sales team, but really it seems more like a marketing problem, this idea of creating trust. So what are the common signs that you see that people have kind of misunderstood the basic problem?
Yeah, so basically, like we have the main symptoms to understand how like we have a misalignment between like sales and marketing, but like usually the symptoms are like a full pipeline of bad leads, unqualified meetings, long cycles, referral dependency, like competing on price alone. Like, so the company generates interest but never builds like preference before the sales conversation. So marketing actually must prepare the ground, prepare the house, like with positioning, like a good brand positioning, social proof, value clarity. So we also like usually like the poor brand awareness, gated content, like white papers that don't convert. So it's a very complex buying journey, and we have some symptoms that shows that. So usually it happens, this kind of misalignment between marketing and sales, because usually like marketing creates a very good branding, and usually also like the sales team is not well aligned with what it's showing on the website, for example, and they completely don't understand what the marketing is working at. So that's why it's important an internal alignment between the marketing and sales team. But in my perspective, I honestly see a marketing team can be in different like departments inside the company, right? So you can have an internal communication that works with HR. You can have like events. But marketing, like B2B lead generation marketing, it needs to be under the sales department. And marketing, it's another arm for the sales team. Marketing in this department, it's also sales. So they need to be aligned. How to position the brand, what they need to show. The deck needs to be very like horizontal communication between what it's showing on LinkedIn, thought leadership, website, the sales deck. Everything should be aligned. So if it's very misaligned, we have this kind of symptoms like bad leads, unqualified meetings, depending on the size of the BPO company, like more job seekers and less qualified leads. So this is the main problem that we have in the BPO space.
Okay. And so Anna, how has the buying journey changed then compared to maybe 10 years ago? I know that the article was saying that the buyers now have a lot of information and very strong opinions. So they know a lot about, they're not going to the service company asking for information because they already know that you can do the job. So how has that changed? Is this to do with generative AI, for example?
So I would say that there are a few different reasons for that. So around 10 years ago, like BPO was essentially like a cost decision, right? It was not seen as strategic as it is today. So basically, large providers would walk contracts because they had a large headcount, because they had a big footprint, they had operational capacity. So like the idea was that I'm outsourcing the services for you simply because it is cheaper for me to outsource for you than to have the operation inside my own company, right? So what happened is that with the time, this has changed. So, for example, there was a research by Deloitte in 2024, which noticed that the motivation related to cost reduction fell from 70% in 2020 to 34% in 2024. This is because now the marketing is shifting, like you mentioned, and Jessica was mentioning as well, like the buyers, the customers now, they have more information in hand. It's easier for them to do the research. So before you just had Google, right? So you would type some keywords in Google search and you would come up like with the company website, and then you would read the information in there and you would kind of quite understand what was saying in there. However, nowadays, like with AI, it's much easier for the customer simply to do like a deep research in your company. And it's not going to come up only what you have in your website, what you have drafted so carefully, right? So it's going to come up all of the PR issues, all of the social media posts, whether they are good or they are bad. So even before the company gets, like the customer gets to you, they will know everything about your company already. And another thing is that, still related to AI, is technology has made the process a little bit more democratic, meaning that now it's not only large companies that are able to provide the services for the clients, right? Because if you're creating an AI agent, like lots of companies can create AI agents now. So the big difference is that how much do you know your customer, how much do you know your customers need, and how much can you tailor your solutions to their needs. So yeah, I believe that AI has a big impact on that, because it has made it easier to create the solutions, to do the research, and also like prospects are more informed. They can get to LinkedIn and just exchange conversations like with other people and other that has hired your business in the past. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons I believe that why the market is shifting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In addition with what Anna mentioned, like about LinkedIn, like 10 years ago, I believe like most decision makers didn't have like LinkedIn profiles, like a lot, like active like it is today, right? So like C-level directors, VPs, and presidents now, they have access easily to people that they actually don't know. They don't have a relationship. So imagine the journey. Like today, it's easy to go to a BPO company, like the website, see the highlights, like the clients that they have. Then the decision maker goes, oh, I know someone that works in their clients. So I will get in touch with them and ask, like, look, how it is to outsource with this X company. Do you have any problems? What is your suggestion? So referrals today, it's so important. So that's why I believe today that one of the biggest marketing and strategic like way of thinking is take care of your clients today. Like have a good post sales marketing as well, right?
Yeah.
Build a strong relationship with your clients so they can be your advocates, because referrals are there, and this is the main way that most BPOs get clients from. It's not from AI, it's not from Google search, it's referrals. So it's very important to take care of your clients today, because referrals are there. It's easy to get in touch with people that you don't know. And honestly, LinkedIn, it's an open door for this. And it's more active today, like decision makers use even more. And I can see that from the inside.
There seems to be a more traditional view of marketing as the team that generates the leads, and then it's up to hand these leads over to the sales team to try and close them. I mean, is that dated in this kind of information-rich environment you're talking about?
Yes, absolutely. Like marketing now is not just a leads gen tool, Marketing has become kind of, it's important that marketing is present in the whole narrative. So before, sales would control the narrative at the first contact, right? Because like, for example, if the leads were coming through the website, then okay, you had some information about the company. However, once sales got into it, they were able to control everything. So they were able to tell the narrative that they wanted, because it was just like a one-on-one, basically like a one-on-one conversation, right? But now marketing has to control everything, because they have to be prepared for like what comes before the customer arrives to you. So marketing has to influence that early stage with credible and accessible information. Marketing has to have real case studies, has to have real visible proof of execution, because now clients can validate everything. So actually not even clients, like prospect, right? So if you say something that it is not true, or if you have something in your website that is not really clear, the prospect, they can just do the research and do like a deep research on you before even contacting you. So now marketing is not only about like writing a beautiful white paper and put it on the website. Marketing has to control the narrative before the prospect gets to you, while the prospect is talking to you, and when the deal is closed, you also have to control the narrative after that, right? Because especially like for large providers, so if you have an issue, a big PR issue in your company, customers now will be able to see that very easily. And not only that, their clients are gonna be also able to access the bad information about you, because they also can do the research. So your PR problem is not your PR problem anymore. It also becomes the PR problem of your customers. So marketing cannot be this simple tool of just creating a nice presentation and a nice paper, putting the website live, and that's it. No, marketing has to be connected with the sales team to know exactly what's going on, has to be connected with operations, so they know exactly like what are the biggest claims, what are the biggest issues in operations, like what do your customer needs, and more importantly, marketing has to be a part of PR teams. Sometimes they're connected, sometimes they're not, but it is very important that they are indeed connected, because the brand is now very fluid, so everything can affect your brand and your client's brands.
Okay, yeah, it's like you have to have almost like an operational team focused on building trust, and I think that's interesting, Jessica. One thing that you were saying earlier was around it not just being a one-time purchase, but when you do an outsourcing deal, when you hire a supplier, you're effectively they become the kind of front door to your organization. These are now the people who talk to your customers. So does that mean that trust actually becomes like integral to selecting a supplier? It's not just about the cost, or it's not just about are they capable. It's really about which of the suppliers do you really trust to represent you.
Yeah, so like I believe that trust and capability, they walk together, and they should, because trust, like trusting the brand, when you build a good brand, um, it's easy to convert into a signed contract, right? So the capability is the day-to-day. So the client is handing over part of their business, their own business. So they need certainty of consistency, compliance, and transparency. So brand reduces risk and simplifies the decision. So okay, I trust this brand because they're a big company, they are like an enterprise, but the capability of course needs to work together. But in CX, the buyer entrusts like critical business functions to the provider. So that makes trust and proven reputation more important than technical skill. Like, okay, we have the brand, but technical skill, it kind of be easily to manage than building trust. Like it requires more time. So case studies and client advocates, as mentioned, like are the most powerful proof points. So marketing must narrate reliability, not just the features itself. So they walk together, but trust makes easier to get a contract signed for sure.
We talked a lot about the building an operating model for trust and combining sales and marketing and this idea of how you represent the business. But what does it look like in practice? You know, if I go into a BPO tomorrow and they tell me that they've got a great alignment of their sales and marketing team and their branding, what would actually look different to me if I saw that?
Well, I think that a good example would be of a company that has KPIs that are tracked together between marketing and sales, because right now marketing and sales, they kind of work like silos. So everybody's doing their own thing, so sales has their own KPIs and they're worried about the sales volumes and so on. And marketing is looking to other KPIs, and sometimes they're not strategically aligned. Is more like the results, each one of them are worried about their own results. And I think that this is one of the issues that causes of like the narrative getting lost, because like each one of them will work to the narrative that aligns better with their own KPIs. So I believe that in a company that has this alignment, you would have a kind of like a committee where marketing, sales, and also operations, honestly, like marketing, sales, and operations are working together, not like a silos, but also like horizontal uh, a horizontal layer, where they have the same data, where they are working towards the same targets, where they're working towards the same KPIs, and also where they have space to shift the focus if that's necessary. Because, for instance, if they draft a strategy together, and then after some time they realize that, okay, maybe that's not really the best path anymore because the market has changed, so we need to switch. If they are working together, they are able to see that, and they are able to make that change on time, instead of just waiting into the end of the quarter, and then you see that you have not reached your KPIs accordingly. So this would result, I think that's it. This would result in the same, like, in having a better alignment in terms of positioning, in terms of content, in terms of speech, how sales is actually talking to customers, and also what is missing from the marketing side. So if sales sometimes happens, so some sales sometimes identifies there is a big issue that marketing is not really covering. So if that conversation is not happening, marketing will never know. So yeah, if they work together, then that would be a good example of an integrated company.
Yeah. No, that's really clear. That's interesting. And how do they support the idea that marketing needs to present an image of the brand, but it's not just to one individual. It's not just one person who's going to make a decision about whether to buy from a company. It will be the operations team, the finance team, the lawyers, the people responsible for customer service, for example. So it's not just the procurement director. So how do you sort of represent the brand to all of these different people at the same time?
Yeah, so marketing, like each stakeholder feels like the purchase differently, right? So procurement wants price and compliance, operations wants more like performance, finance wants ROI, so legal wants risk reduction, and CX wants experience quality side. So marketing translates the same offer into different messages without losing the central coherence. So marketing must understand each stakeholder's concern and provide relevant content for each one. So this reduces internal friction and increases buyer confidence. So in general, like integration makes the buyer feel a unified front. So I have a data here from Deloitte from 2024. Like it says that 50% of companies outsource front office, including sales, marketing, and R&D, and multi-stakeholder buying demands specific materials for decision makers. So, as said, it's marketing needs to understand the whole stakeholders, like who are the decision makers, and build a narrative for each of them to make a very horizontal and consistency in the communication.
Anna was talking a minute ago about combining the sales and marketing function and having similar metrics across both teams. So is there a danger when you're looking at lead generation metrics that you're not focusing on building credibility, building your reputation, demonstrating your thought leadership and how much you understand the market? You're just only focused on the metrics.
Yeah, so like the market has moved from cost to value today. Like thought leadership is no longer like a nice to have. It became like a commercial asset. And you know best than me, Marco, right? So the thought leadership today is important. So like a strong brand reduces uncertainty and accelerate decisions. So focusing only on the lead volume neglects like credibility, reputation, and thought leadership. Like building a respected industry voice differentiates like BPO in a crowded market that it's like it's a lot today. It's kind of crowded, indeed, especially after the pandemic. So today, credibility improves deal quality long term, and it's more essential now than that content is training AI platforms. So it's important to build the consistency. So it's not only lead generation. So it's much more than that in the back end.
Yeah, and if I can add something, it's important to remember that now the environment is even more fast-paced than it was before. So you have to look at credibility at all times, because it's very, very easy to break that credibility, you know? So if you're just looking at lead gen and you're forgetting about credibility and then something happens, then you're not gonna meet your lead gen goals anyway. And it's very easy to break your credibility, and it's very, very hard to build trust and to build the credibility itself. So that is another important thing why you should be looking at it at all times, because otherwise you have the risk of just losing, like from one day to the other, you have the risk of losing everything that you have worked for the past year, simply because you're just focused on lead gen and forgetting about everything else. It's very easy for people to verify your information and to see what you're doing, what your actions how your actions are reflecting in the marketing and in the market, sorry, but not only in your market, but also globally. So yeah, you have to look at it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because that picks up on what you were saying earlier about the buyers use AI much more to research the suppliers now. So if I want to find someone with a particular expertise or in a particular marketplace, it's very easy for me to ask Perplexity or ChatGPT or Claude and just say, give me the top 5 suppliers in this market, and then I can start comparing them. If I like 2 of them, I can say, you know, who is stronger at whatever service. So, but the fact that the buyers are now doing that much more deep research, does that lead again to this idea of marketing and sales becoming much more combined and almost the same function?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, we have to go back to marketing B2B 101, that like B2B is a complex purchase decision, right? So even before AI, like buyers were, it's not something that you're like buying a phone that you just go there and okay, this is nice, and you go and decide to buy it. So you have to do your research. There's a lot of risk that is perceived when hiring a provider. So now that AI is everywhere, and again, like we have talked about this, that like you mentioned that the customer is just researching about you, you have to have sales and marketing integrated, because if your customer is doing that, then you have to do that internally as well. You have to dominate your content, you have to dominate your narrative. And you also have to, I think, seize the opportunity of having this amazing tool where you can put your data in there, your sales data, your marketing strategy, and align, you know, and find the gaps. So you have to work on this. It's like when you are building a bot, you have the quality team that is testing everything and make sure that they find the gaps and they are fixing the gaps, so the bot's not saying something wrong. You kind of have to do the same for your marketing and sales strategy, right? So you cannot be telling any random numbers that the customer will say, okay, so this is not exactly what you were saying, it's something else, because it's a risk. Like they're going to find the risk. So you have to be prepared and you have to be integrated, and AI, it is helping a lot with that.
Okay, that's really good. You wanted to add something, Jessica?
Yeah, no, just to summarize, like, so if we have like good content, like the companies that master content, like either thought leadership, either website, blog posts, but they do have a master content, they master the narrative, the commercial, the numbers, all together, they will gain more visibility in general. But it needs to have consistency. Like AI and Google, like they are smart tools, right? So it's a machine learning. So if they catch inconsistency, they will probably think, look, solve things first, and then get back with your narrative consistent. And then
so really you're saying basically it needs to be authentic. They need to be credible. It needs to be information that's credible. I can't just say that my company is the best in this marketplace when everything on social media is saying how terrible the company is.
And actually, like Google and the AI, they love numbers. So it's easy to see, like, for example, websites like BPO websites that has a lot of generic content that, oh, enhance your something, like improve your teams, so what? Like, what can you show me? So the companies that really stand out are the ones that really have proof of what they can deliver. And AI loves that, actually. So it needs to be, you need to build the content thinking about like what our clients wants to read. And that's why one of the main content that it's needed to be built on a website, for example, are FAQs. AI love FAQs because these are the questions that usually people do for AI. And if you have the answer for it, awesome. If you don't have the answer for it, probably another will have. And your competitor will be showing on the AI searches instead of you. So
what you're saying, it's just making me think that one thing that companies like BPOs love to publish is how well they treat their employees. We're always winning awards for being the best employer. But I would think it's very easy for me to go now to ChatGPT and say, using tools like Glassdoor and other employee feedback apps, what is it really like to work at this company? And then compare it to what the company officially says about itself. It's one prompt. I'm sure that I could get some really good insight from that.
And even Glassdoor, like it's like we know that it's the great place to work badge. Some are paid, and we know that some companies pay to have this badge. And also Glassdoor, and I saw this from the inside, HR people paying for their employees to write good reviews on Glassdoor. Like they like pay like $100 for people to, so it's hard to believe on everything that you see on the internet. So as I said, like today, it's better, the best way for you to prove like the credibility for a company, it's referrals. That's why, like, okay, I stick on this.
People with real experience.
Clients, exactly, like referrals ask. So they are asking more because Glassdoor is there to help, of course, but still, I don't know. People are cheating. Like companies are cheating a lot on this. So.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just to wrap up, then, if I was hiring your company and you had one piece of important advice about fixing this marketing and sales relationship, what would the first thing or most important thing be that you would say? And that's to both of you.
Yeah. So, like, as I mentioned at the beginning, so marketing and sales should be like a single growth system, right? Not two teams with separate targets. So the target is the same, and they should be treated as one team. So one company story, a few strategic priorities, shared metrics. So hold both accountable for reputation, qualified pipeline, and conversion. So those who combine it, like the brand, proof, operations, and trust, they will definitely grow.
Yeah, and I would say that, keep it simple. I think that the BPO industry has kind of an addiction of using very hard words to explain what they do and try to hide what they actually do. For example, like in BPO, lots of companies, they don't use the word call center. But at the end of the day, your client is actually searching for call centers. So keep your message simple. Your customer, they have to understand what to do when they go into your website, when they read your materials, because otherwise they are not understanding your narrative. So, and also, if you don't keep it simple, and you're using all of these fancy and complex words that nobody really gets what they mean, you are kind of trapped of AI's interpretation of what you do for a business, So if you keep the messaging simple, like in a way that people actually understand what you do, then it's easy. And you're gonna be like a highlight in the industry, because other people are just gonna go there and understand the message. Okay, so I understand what to do. I can trust you, and that's how things get moving now.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic message. And it actually echoes an experience that I've had myself with one client. I was ghostwriting for the head of innovation for a big technology company. And the first few articles I wrote, he kept sending them back to me saying, this is too simple. It's too simple. It makes me sound like I'm not smart. And eventually I wrote something with really long words and lots of acronyms. And he said, that looks great. That's fantastic. But it was impossible to understand unless you were somebody from that very specific industry. So yeah, it's a good, I think.
Yeah, an example. Imagine like you're a healthcare BPO, right? So you have call center, you have all the operations to attend the healthcare hospitals, like home cares. But imagine that you're the client. What they will search for, like healthcare, call center, healthcare operations, healthcare agents in US or in Mexico or in Latin, they would probably like healthcare, BPO, outsourcing process. Like, okay, it's important to bring those keywords to a website or to a content, but do not avoid the simple, because this is how your clients will try to find you, right? Yeah. So it's important to put yourself in clients' shoes as well, like to, okay, what they are really searching for. It's nice to have like fluffy words, but at the end, they just want to understand like the clarity, like less fluffy, more clarity. And that's it.
You shouldn't write for your peers, right? You shouldn't write for your peers. You should write for your customers. And your customers, they are not from BPO, so they don't understand what those letters mean. They do not know your solution's name. So why would you have your solution's name all over the place, like an H1 in a page, if they don't even know what is that, or like what does that mean? So don't write for your peers, write for your clients.
Yeah, and even if employees, for example, like I've worked for a big BPO company, and at some point, like my friends asked, like, what the company that you work to? I was like, call center? No, they hate call center. No, it's not call center. So I need to find another word. Like BPO? No, my friends don't understand what it's BPO. So digital, we do everything, and then like it's hard to explain if the like inside the company, like not if the employees exactly like know how to promote the company. So it's tough.
No, I think that's a great message as well to close on as well. Just understand what you're offering and keep it simple. Fantastic. Okay, Anna, Jessica, that's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark, for the opportunity.
Thanks, Mark, for having us. It was a great discussion, and we're very excited to join your podcast. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. We really appreciate your feedback and suggestions. You can reach myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan via LinkedIn. Please also leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast provider, as that helps more people to find us. As always, we'd like to thank Chris Haig at Traction Media for the CX Files graphics. See you next week. Can you see this recording now?
Yeah,
Okay.
it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. No, normally it says recording. So I didn't hear any
But
alert.
yeah, like the notification came as soon as I joined.
Yeah.
I accepted.
Yeah, I can see
It's
the button here as well, like in the top. It's
Yeah.
saying recording.
rec. Yeah.
Okay.